Welcome to the Breakthrough to Brilliance podcast, where we have inspiring and insightful conversations about breaking free from life's biggest challenges to find fulfillment and purpose. I am your host, Seema Giri, an international speaker, best-selling and award-winning author, book writing mentor, and publisher. I bring you real-life stories of healing and transformational journeys so that you know that you can create life on your own terms. Our heart-centered guests are the everyday heroes that you find in your backyard, from mothers to sisters to friends to entrepreneurs and authors. Join us to hear their positive and powerful stories so you too can learn to live with purpose and joy. Welcome to Breakthrough to Brilliance podcast. I'm so happy to be here with you on another episode. And we have an amazing guest, Arliss Dudley-Cash. She is one of our co-authors from our recent #1 international best-selling book, Break Free to Health and Vitality. But before we get started with this amazing interview with Arliss, let's do a grounding exercise. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes, but do follow along. And for the rest of us, feel free to close your eyes and take in a few deep breaths at your own pace. Taking a big inhale all the way to your belly and exhale. And with every exhale, just let go of things that are not serving you at this moment. You had a lot of meetings and things to take care of before our time together today, and you have things lined up for after our conversation. For the next inhale and exhale, let go of all those worries of what is next or what has been done. All of those things will be waiting for you later, I promise. So with the next inhale, inhale peace and let go of any kind of stress. With your next inhale, I would like you to bring your attention to your heart and maybe even put your hand on your heart to bring that awareness. And I would like you to bring up a moment that brought you a lot of joy and happiness. It can be from any time period of your life, your childhood, young adulthood, yesterday, today, anytime. And I want you to relive this moment as if you're living it for the very first time. Remember the people you were with, the environment, the ambiance, how it made you feel, the laughter, the bliss. Just feel that in right now. Just breathe that in. Let your body feel as it was feeling at that time. And with the next breath in, I would like you to bring your focus to on top of your head, which is the crown chakra, and think of a second happy moment. Also relive this moment as if you're living it for the very first time. Remember your senses, your 5 senses. What did it smell like at the location you were at? What were you feeling? Who were you with? And to feel that right in your body right now, right here. And with your next breath in, inhale, I would like you to open yourself up to the possibilities that you can get from our conversation today. Perhaps it's for you, perhaps you're the messenger and you need to hear something for someone else. And with the next inhale of peace and prosperity, I would like Arliss, our guest, and myself to open ourselves up to what our audience needs to hear today from us. We tune into that right now. And then with the next breath in, I would like all of us to be right here in the present, in the now. And let's co-create what is possible for us. And with your next inhale and exhale, open your eyes with a great big smile. Arliss, thank you so much for joining our show today. So wonderful to have you.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Arliss, can you tell us what came to your heart as we did that meditation?
Yeah, what came to my heart during the meditation was just the knowing that each day is the start of our future and that we get to make the choice to bring things into our lives that really support us, especially in health and vitality, each day as a new beginning or as a continuation, and that each day is another day to do our best to support ourselves in health and vitality.
Wow, that is amazing. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Well, let me introduce to you Arliss Dudley-Cash. She is the winner of the Best Presentation Award by the International Women's Leadership and Empowerment Conference, business and body positivity coach. Arliss is an inspirational speaker and self-love movement leader. With a background in business, neuroscience, and forensics, her career expands on over several industries, including operations management, research scientists, and death investigation. Alice unites this eclectic background with her personal journey to overcome the odds and survive a terminal diagnosis. Her award-winning presentations include topics on extreme self-love and body positivity. Welcome again, Arliss. That is an amazing background.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. You are now a #1 international best-selling co-author. How does that feel?
It's a dream come true. I've wanted to be an author since I was very young. And it always felt like something that was wildly out of reach, which is interesting that that's the story I chose to tell myself. And what I love about working with you, Seema, is that it not only became in reach, it became something that I was able to do and still do it from a place of supporting my health and supporting the gentleness of the life that I've created. And so it's a dream come true. And I feel so wonderfully supported by everyone that was a part of it. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, that's my pleasure. And it's so wonderful to hear when people say that, it was a dream come true while you were able to support your own self-care. And it's so important. People don't realize that you don't have to be so overwhelmed. You can do it from a place of love and taking care of yourself. And that's exactly the message that I wanted to give. And that was the point of the creating this book, Breakthrough to Health and Vitality. So that's really great to hear that I'm achieving my goal.
Absolutely. You're hitting it out of the park.
That's great. So, Arliss, can you share with our listeners what your journey of writing was like? Like, let's start with why did you decide to participate in this anthology?
I decided to participate in this anthology because I wanted the opportunity to speak on or share a very deeply personal story. My health journey is not necessarily an easy one to read about, but the outcome is quite amazing. And I wanted to share the experience so that others who might be in the not easy part of their journey, they can see that there is the potential for the other side and for that other side to be so positive. Break Free to Health and Vitality gave me the opportunity to really focus on my health journey in a way that the other opportunities that I've had to speak on business or to speak on body positivity hasn't really afforded me. And so really being able to tell that deeply personal story of what it was like to be diagnosed as terminal and what it was like to come out the other side and realize that by falling back in love with myself, I was able to save my own life.
Wow. By falling back in love with yourself, you're able to save your life. That sounds a little bit, it sounds a little bit hard to understand and maybe even hard to believe. Would you like to go a little deeper with that?
Absolutely. I believe that we've all come into this world knowing unconditional love of ourselves, and that it's just along the path of our journey, we lose sight of that in some way. And that can be more significant than in some than others. Um, and that love still lives inside of each one of us. And we have the opportunity to reconnect with it at any point that we want to. And it might sound silly to make yourself the love of your life, but I feel like we are all the loves of our lives. And we can choose to honor that or not. It's just part of the truth that we're born with. And loving ourselves can start with something really simple. It doesn't have to be some kind of profound life change, although it can be. It can start with something simple by just saying to ourselves out loud, I love me, and practicing that each day. That in itself is creating that true connection, that true partnership with ourselves.
That is so important what you just said. As we grow up, and I think we're also taught this a little bit as we are raised because of what society expectations are. We're always trying to meet other people's expectations, but we're really meant to understand who we are, love ourselves, and be authentic. And that helps us be the best version of ourselves, and then we can serve better. But somewhere that whole message has been lost, and we're always striving to meet other people's expectations and live by other people's rules so we can be accepted. I think that's the bottom line, so we can be accepted. And Arliss, have you noticed that when you are being your authentic self, because now you're loving yourself more, you are able to serve from a higher place for others where it makes a real difference in their lives?
Absolutely. It allows me to show up authentically and to show the challenges that I have. So even this morning, I posted on Facebook and Instagram, hey, for the last week, I didn't take as good of care of myself as I normally would. I didn't get to bed early enough. And when I got up in the morning, I went straight to work. I didn't do as much self-care as I normally would do. And I don't feel that great today. So guess what? Last night, I made it a point to get to bed early, which to me is an act of self-love for myself. And I was able to wake up feeling rested and have plenty of time to do my self-care before I did anything else. And I felt really good about that, not only because it was an act of self-love, but because I was able to show authentically that, hey, I don't do it all the time either. I do my best. I show up in the best way that I can, and I'm human. And sometimes I'm not doing that great, and that's okay too. Being able to show people humanness is really important, because I think one of the biggest things that keeps people from really showing love to themselves is this feeling of overwhelming failure all the time. Because instead of just saying, hey, I'm human, and that didn't go like I thought it would go, or I didn't make the best decision in that moment that I could have, they feel an overwhelming sense of failure. And so by showing up authentically, I can show people that, hey, I didn't fail last week. I just didn't do as good as I possibly could have. And this week I'm making a different choice. And today is a new day. It's the start of my future today. And so I get to start that all over again today and make different choices for myself.
That's such a great reminder. When I saw that, I felt the same way because last week I didn't exercise at all. The entire week we had the book launch, there's so many other things going on, and I didn't get a chance to exercise the way I normally would. And I'm in training for the half marathon. I was like, I just threw it out the window. I didn't do anything. So Sunday, I went for my long walk and I thought, okay, I'm going to do my 13.1 miles. And I ended up doing 14.8 miles because my app wasn't working. And I did some extra rounds for good measure so that when I calculated, I wouldn't be disappointed that it's less. So it's all about getting back on track. And then you find out that you're doing even better. And honestly, I think as coaches, we are also, we think we're expected to all the time be on 100% on. And that's not the case. Regardless of what your profession is, I would like our audience to really listen into this. It doesn't matter what your profession is. You can't be on top of your game all the time because we're humans. We are going to get tired. We're going to choose resting more, or we're going to choose partying more at different times. The key here is, and this is what I believe, Arliss, you're saying, is that you get back on track. You can keep getting back on track all the time. The important thing is that you get back on track.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to honor Seema that she is training for a marathon. Let's give her a big cheer for that. Woo! I've done it myself before multiple times, and it is one of the hardest things anyone can ever do. And I just want to honor the fact that you are doing that. And it's a heroic effort. Anyone that's doing that, it's a heroic effort. I also want to comment on what you brought up, that, coaches, especially those that are, have to do with business coaching specifically, it's very common to feel like we must know everything and we must do everything perfectly. And I want to say that, one, that's the ego talking, and it can be quite toxic to ourselves and toxic to our clients, or even just the people that are in our bubble to witness that, because it doesn't give any space for that humanness. It doesn't give us space for that humanness, and it doesn't give the other people space for that humanness. And so when we allow ourselves to be human, when we honor ourselves for our humanness and having those moments that are maybe not ideal, it's really a gift that we're giving, because we're examples to the world that those non-ideal moments are amazing, because they are. If I had a totally perfect life where my health was everything that I would ever want it to be, in perfect health, I wouldn't have the story that I got to tell in the book, Break Free to Health and Vitality, which I know is positively impacting lives. And so those non-ideal moments are really the gifts that we get in order to share our story during those times.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. That is so true. We have to remember first and foremost that we are humans, and give yourself that grace. I am like this constantly, where I'm always striving for more. And when I don't do a certain way, then, I'm always not putting myself down, but it's like, oh man, I didn't get to that. For a minute, when I figured out it was 14.8, I was like, oh my gosh, if I had just walked a little bit more, it would have been 15 miles. But at that point, I'm just amazed that I got home. Like, I was so tired, but it's like, it's okay. Just let it go. You have to just let things go and be human and do the best thing that's possible for you. Arliss, how was your writing journey? How was the experience of writing in this book?
It was very cathartic. And it was hard at times to really go back to that place and think about the experiences that I had, writing about the day after, the couple days after surgery, when I, had that moment of realizing that I was in a really critical situation. It took me right back to that place to think about it. And it was, quite challenging to write about, or thinking about making the decision to have a hysterectomy. That was also another time where, in my heart center, I still have and still had grief to process around that. And in a way, it was so freeing. because I was able to authentically and honestly share my story, all of the ups and downs, and really share where I am now. And there was a part of me that was terrified to put that out there. I mean, if I'm completely honest, I'm a business coach and business consultant. And so this is very divergent from that. But in some ways, it's not. I mean, our health and a business can be very similar. And just like we can overcome challenges in our health to come out to be in an amazing life, we can overcome challenges in a business to come out to be in an amazing business too. So once I was able to overcome my fear of sharing that story, I just felt so free. I feel so free. And I hope that it inspires others to be honest about the challenges that they have overcome too, because it does inspire others to believe that they can do better and have better in their life. And that's really why I decided to write the chapter that I did.
Wow, that's amazing. Arliss, thanks for sharing that. I mean, that was quite intimate as well. And that's what I want our listeners to hear and understand, that it's never easy, especially when you're sharing a transformational journey, right? It takes you back to where you had been, where it was so painful. But at the same time, I believe that all of my authors have ascended to the next level of transformation just by going through this process, and it certainly does free you to another level, and it does help because you're writing from that place and that aspect. It really does help the reader feel your emotions, understand what you're going through, what you went through, and it also gives them a sense of release and relief, that one, that they're not alone. Two, that, if someone else has been feeling the same kind of feelings, and it kind of validates them that, there's nothing wrong with you for having those kind of feelings. I think during my healing journey, there weren't these kind of stories available. The internet wasn't there, in the late 90s. And many times I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was crazy because my doctors were telling me that I'm a hypochondriac. There's really nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. My family saying, they're the experts. We got to listen to them. And my internal voice, my intuition telling me, no, Seema, there's something wrong with you. So with all of these mixed messages from everywhere, I really thought that I've lost it. And that's one of my intentions, to share not just my story, but everyone else's story, is that there's so many people in the same boat. You're not alone. Just keep going forward, taking the next best step for you, and you will come out the other end and into the light. So I appreciate you sharing your story, being part of this book, even though I know it was a little difficult at times.
Yeah, thank you, Seema. And thank you so much for the way that you guide us through this process. Just knowing that you were available anytime that I needed help during writing my chapter, and then the level of guidance that you give us through the launch, it's huge. It's huge. And even, I feel like in a lot of my professional world, I'm fairly accomplished, and doing this by myself would have been absolutely terrifying. So I'm so grateful for you. And I'm grateful for the message that you just shared. I had the first significant episode, health challenge happen in my life when I was 10 years old. And I was not diagnosed with what I had until I was 28. And I've had the same condition since I was born. And it never got diagnosed until I was 28 years old. And so I really do believe that we intuitionally know when something is wrong in our bodies. And it's important to listen to yourself. If you know that something's wrong in your body, seek help until you get the help that you need. It took me finding a very specific doctor who could help me, because the condition that I had is so rare that most doctors never see it in their practice. And so don't give up. Don't give up on your own health.
Definitely don't give up. And many people go for only second or third opinions. I had to get 12 before I got correctly diagnosed with fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis. So keep going. Doesn't matter if it's the 12th of the 14th. It gets tiring, it gets frustrating, but we're talking about your life, which is so important. So you've got to persevere and continue going on. And Arliss, I'd like to bring back this one thought you said, that you're a business coach and you sharing your story in this book is diversion to what you're doing. However, I feel the health of your business is dependent on your health. They're tied in together. How energetic you are will depend on how well your business is going. How you take care of yourself will determine how you take care of your business as well. How do you feel about that?
I completely agree. And, I'll use an old adage, how we take care of ourselves is how we take care of everything. Yeah. It's the truth. Most people say that and use different words, but how we take care of ourselves is how we take care of everything. It all starts here with us. And so if you are advocating for your own health, if you're practicing self-care, if you're in love with yourself, that is going to have a trickle down effect, and it's going to positively impact everything in your life, including your business.
True, very true. So just if you're having issues in your business, if it's not going as well, just looking to see how you're taking care of yourself, because as Arliss said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Arliss, you have this interesting concept. You say that there is a scientific proof or scientific research that shows that self-love supports us in our lives and our businesses. Can you shed a light on that?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite studies was done by Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. And she has shown that our cells in our body are listening to us. And when we speak negatively towards ourselves or act negatively towards ourselves, our cells hear that and they start to have a stress response. And when they have a stress response, they wear down the ends of our DNA. So the ends of our DNA are called the telomeres, and they are critically important for our long life and good health. And so what's really exciting about that is that when we speak positively to ourselves, and when we act positively towards ourselves, such as giving ourselves love and attention and self-care, our cells hear that too. And they respond by preserving the ends of our DNA. And so Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn has shown that when our telomeres are preserved, that we live longer and healthier lives. And so by showing ourselves love, we can give ourselves the best opportunity to live long and healthy lives.
For those of you who are left-brained and needed some proof through research that self-love actually makes a difference, here it is.
Absolutely. Science supports us in that. And there's been a lot of research done in the last few years, and they've actually identified the area of our brain that is responsible for self-love and self-esteem. It's called the frontal striatal area. And the research was done at Dartmouth College. And they have also shown that by showing ourselves self-love and are interacting with ourselves positively, we can actually strengthen that area of our brain and make it stronger and more highly active, which is extraordinary.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to see that people are doing these kind of research to show that, because that's what we really need. So we have the validation, people. Let's start with this. So Arliss, can you tell our listeners, what does self-love look like? Sometimes people are confused on what does that really mean. So what would self-love look like in a daily life?
Yeah, so I think one of the easiest ways to show self-love is every time you're in front of the mirror. So when you use the restroom and you're washing your hands afterward and you up at yourself in the mirror, look into your own eyes and say, I love you. Now, I know that that might seem, a little hokey, but it makes a huge impact when we hear our own voice and we see it with our own eyes, us saying, I love you. So I think that that's a really quick tip that we can all implement multiple times a day to show ourselves love.
That's a great advice. That is a great advice. And the second thing I would say is just listen to what you say to yourself and move from the negativity and the doubtfulness to appreciation. If you like the way your glasses look on you, appreciate that. Appreciate how nice you are to other people. Just with these small things, moving towards appreciation towards you, treating yourself like your own best friend, that it will make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Arliss, it has been such an amazing journey with you through this project, Break Free to Health and Vitality, and getting to know you. I mean, we have so much in common with our healing journeys, and it's just amazing that I get to see more and more people coming out of their healing journeys, fighting the system, fighting other people's beliefs, and coming through. You're such a light for everyone else, and I'm so grateful to have met you and for you to be part of this project. It's going to make such a huge difference. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is soullutions.com, SOULLUTIONS.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Arliss.Dudley.Cash and at soul_lutions. So there's plenty of ways to find me, and I look forward to connecting with everyone. And I want to give a special thanks to Seema for making this all possible and for just being incredible at what she does, which is bringing these stories to light in such a beautiful way.
Thank you, Arliss. Thank you so much. We enjoyed having you on our show, and I've learned so much from you. I'm sure our listeners are also. So listeners, I would like to leave you with the thought that make time for yourself, just like you make time for everyone else, and take some time to appreciate you because you are so important and you have massive value to bring. Until next time, this is Seema. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Break Free to Brilliance podcast. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I know I did. Through this transformational journey, I hope you can see yourself taking similar steps, breaking free to your brilliance, and creating the life that you desire. Be sure to subscribe to Break Free to Brilliance wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow along with us on social media using the links in the show notes below. We'll see you again for next week's episode.